Hello everybody, welcome back to the Brothers Grimdark and our special Timorous Beasties. Good to see you all. Today we're doing another Codex review and it's the AdMech. So this will be fun for my animists and in particular looking forward to seeing what new tricks they get up to. So yes, we got a lovely new Codex. With unfortunately the same cover art that the previous one had, but that's okay. It's still very nice.
It's got a cog in the background now.
It does have a cog, yes,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's still a fantastic piece of cover art. Though,
it is a very nice one. We're just slightly bitter and sad that we're not all the new codexes are getting new cover art. But,
except the Necrons for some reason.
Yeah, Necrons so far.
Anyway, let's see what we get in the book. So, yes, lovely contents, index, all that kind of stuff. Start off with a lovely new army shot, which looks very nice. Beating up some Black Legion there.
So, first one to spot the sniper wins, because he's the only new thing in this.
They borrow. Is he not in this one?
They might.
He's very well hidden if he is. I don't think he's in it.
He may not be in it.
Alright, well,
okay.
I'm sure he'll be around somewhere.
No sniper.
No sniper. And then we got some nice lore and things, and I think, as per usual, we get probably about 40 pages or so of... Oh, we're still going, actually. Yeah, 37, 38 pages of lore. I do like that they cover all the houses still in here, even though they don't have their own special detachments anymore. There's still some lore for that. And as we'll see later, things like the Tech Priest's abilities still get represented in some of the detachments as well. So I think they've done a good job, actually, of maintaining some of that old fluff, but in a slightly more easy to digest way. Because in the last edition, AdMech were lots of fun, but they were a pain to keep track of in the command phase. Just
that's right.
a billion different rules with canticles and doctrines, and some of it affected some units. Not it was cool, but it was a lot. Anyway, in this lovely codex, yes, so we got some more cover art. I like that they're doing more of this now. I've seen a few of the photographs now where they're doing more sort of aerial shots for the flyers. I think there's a couple of examples in this book, so that's quite fun. And there's the new sniper man.
New legs.
His big smoky legs, yeah. And yes, lots of lovely little pictures. I do quite like the Metallica cover scheme. I think it's hilarious they got away with calling it Metallica as well. Yeah, there's another one. I really like these new photos that they've done like this. I think that's a cool kind of look, a bit different than what we've seen before. Yep, Sniper Man again.
Nice beating up robots. I like that cover scheme as well.
Yeah, I forget which house is that. That's Stiggy's. Ryza Rust, yeah. That's the ones.
Yeah, I've not seen that one too much.
Yeah, there's a Sniper Man again. This is more like the new one, and they're fighting against the Necrons.
The Necrons, yes. It's this. Who's the most robotic of all the robotic things?
Yes, and we have a Codex review for Necrons out on YouTube as well, so go check that out if you want to see our thoughts on Necrons. That was me doing a plug there. Yeah, we're getting good at this. Right, now we get into actual rules. So we've got the Combat Patrol, which we're probably not going to play around with too much, but you've got all this stuff in here. It's weirdly not a massive sized combat patrol, I feel, for how many points you actually get out of it, but combat patrol's a little funny like that anyway, with the rules and things you get. And we still get painting guides. I'm really happy that the new codexes, they've started doing this again. I remember that from the old classic codexes, so it's good to see that back and some nice little tips and tricks in there. Yes, combat control rules, all your detachment abilities for that, or your data sheets for that. And now we get into the fun stuff. So we get into the actual meat of the book, the army rules. So Doctrina Imperatives are back. They're exactly the same as they were in the index. I think they've done a good job of this rule in particular compared to what it was in the 9th editions. It was really complicated before. Now it's really simple. There's two, Protector and Conqueror. In the Protector one, all of your weapons count as heavy, and if you're making a ranged attack, when the opponent's making ranged attacks against you in your own deployment zone, you worsen AP by 1. So it's very much castling, standing around in your own deployment zone, shooting out of it, and you're protected a little bit while you're in there. Conqueror is much more about getting out there, so you get all your ranged weapons get assault, which can be really good, I think, for some of the weapons you've got. And if you're attacking things in your opponent's deployment zone, you increase your AP by 1. I think these are quite good. I think that they're fairly simple to wrap your head around, but they can be quite effective at different points in the game. So much simpler than before, but some of the spirit's still there, and I think both quite functionally useful rules. Right, detachment time. So the first one is the Radzone Corpse, which is the one that was in the index, and it has been tweaked a little bit because it was a bit rubbish before.
Yeah, Rowan and I both agree that AdMech got a little bit done over with their army rule, detachment rule, when the index ones were coming out. It just felt like they had this one sitting and it was going to go to whichever army was the last that they came up with a thing for. So
So I still don't love that this is the default detachment, at least for the detachment rule. I think the stratagems and things are good. We'll get to those in a sec. But yeah, you've got your rad bombardment. So the main change here now is that in the first turn, it still affects units which are in your opponent's deployment zone. It used to be, or then your opponent still gets the choice of standing firm or taking cover. Now, in the previous version of this, if you took cover, you didn't take mortal wounds, but you got the battle shock. Now, you still take mortal wounds, but it happens on a 5. So I'll just read that out. So units standing firm on a 3+, they take D3 mortal wounds. If they take cover on a 5+, they still take D3 mortal wounds, and they're battle shocked. So at least, because before...
So less of a get out of jail free card, just going, I'll just take the battle shock, I don't need it first turn one. So
Exactly. So at least it's a little bit more useful there now. And same thing for turn 2 onwards. It used to just be the D3 mortal wounds. Now they must also take a battle shock test. So that makes it slightly riskier for your opponent just leaving one unit on their back objective because they might get battle shocked and not be able to score. Although it does depend mission to mission when you're scoring, because you might be just retaking your battle shock test before then anyway. It's okay. It's slightly better than it was before. I'm still not a massive fan of this.
It just doesn't feel that flavorful, but sure.
It's all right.
It's fine.
The first enhancement, though, actually makes it much better right off the bat because it extends the rule from turns 2 onwards to be 6 inches out of your deployment zones. So
what's the first enhancement called, Rowan?
It is called Radial Suffusion.
There we go.
Yeah. So that at least makes your army rule better. I think if you are running this one, that might be worth having. I'm not sure how many points it is. We'll check that in a sec. Just so at least it's doing more throughout the game. Next one is Malphonic Susurrus. That does not sound like a word.
Susurrus.
It basically gives the unit that he's leading stealth, which is handy.
Yeah.
It's all right. Peerless Eradicator gives the range weapons in that model's unit sustained hits 1. That's all right. I think it's probably quite good. Almost all the tech priests can lead the destroyers and the other mini robots. I've forgotten the name of the breachers. Probably more useful on those than it is on your Skitarii, but that's all right. And lastly, the Autoclavic Denunciation. What a name! This one they've changed the name of it, but it's the same one that we had before, where it gives just the model anti-infantry 2+ and anti-monster 4-up. This always goes on the Manipulus with his devastating wind flamer.
Not good with a new sniper. No interaction with that.
I don't think it's that.
He's got precision.
He's already got anti-monster 4 on one of his guns, and he's got anti-infantry on the other one.
Does he have devastating winds on either?
Might not.
Okay, yeah, that would be very good if he does. He's getting devastating winds.
But it's only damage D3 anyway.
Devastating winds going off on. Yeah.
So you're gonna do one devastating. I don't know. It's okay. I think that the more obvious target's the Manipulus with the flamer that does mortal wounds.
Okay.
It's okay. I mean, it is quite good, and it also makes him like an anti-charge threat. So yeah, that one I think it's useful if you're taking the Manipulus. I'm not sure it's amazing on most of the other weapons.
Can we have a quick look at the sniper, see what he does? You're right. I'm guessing he doesn't have. Does have devastating on his pistol?
Yeah, all the pistols have devastating winds. I'm not sure if they did before, but like
and he's already got anti-infantry 3+.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So no devastating winds, but
so give him devastating winds, but he's only doing damage. Damage 3. Yeah, maybe it makes him super good at killing characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Not totally sold on that one. It does mean that it would work on both of his weapons. Yeah, it's okay. I think it's better on the Manipulus personally, but maybe got some play on the sniper as well.
Okay.
Right, into the stratagems. The first one is a nice 2CP one, and I do like how they've changed the stratagems. So in the previous version of this detachment, the interactions were mostly with your doctrines. So it was like some of them you could only do if you were in the Protector or the Conqueror one. What they've done now is they've changed it to be a little bit more how more of the unit abilities work, where it's much more based around if you've got a battle line unit doing, you put this on the stratagem, it also impacts other units. Now, a lot of the units in the book have an ability where if they're within 6 inches of a battle line unit, they get to do something special with their ability anyway. So for example, the Rust Stalkers, I think if they start within 6 inches of a battle line unit, they get an extra plus to their advances and charges. So you're going to be wanting to do that anyway. So I quite like that they've changed the rules here to reflect that. So the first one, for example, the Baleful Halo. One Adeptus Mechanicus unit from your army, excluding vehicles, that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. If this unit is battle line, here it is, you can also target one friendly Skitarii unit within 6 inches of that. So this is going to make, you're going to want to have like your Skitarii battle line units sort of bodyguarding or hiding around with other units so you get this ability off. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets one of those units, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Pretty solid.
2 CP, but yeah, good for keeping your Skitarii and something else alive.
Yeah, because they're not the toughest. So I think that's pretty good. And again, I think it makes you want to play the army in a particular way, which I quite like as well. Extinction Order is the next stratagem. In your command phase, one tech priest model from your army can select one objective marker, within 24 inches of that model. And then roll 1d6 for each enemy unit. On a 4+, they suffer 1 mortal wound and must take a battle shock test. It's only 1 mortal wound. The battle shock test may win you a game if it goes off. This one feels like a Hail Mary stratagem to me.
Or if your opponent's really castling. Even if it's, if you're only doing, if you get to do that on 5 units, it's probably worth the 1 CP, even though it's spread out, but doing a mortal wound, a 50-50 chance of doing a mortal wound on 5 or 6 units, may be worth it, or if you just need to finish off something that's hanging on. But yeah, it's niche.
It's okay. It might come up some games, it might never come up. Yeah. Next one, Aggressor Imperative. This is another one similar to the previous thing where one Skitarii unit from your army that has not been selected to move this phase, if that unit is battle line, you can also target one friendly Skitarii unit within 6 inches of it. Cool. Until the end of the phase, each time one of those units advances, you can, instead of making the roll, you add 6 inches to the move characteristic. So
that's your horsey boys and things like that.
Yeah, or the Rust Stalkers who are already getting +2 to their advances when they're within range of a battle line unit as well. So again, there's some nice synergies there. It's
the Rust Stalkers Skitarii.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They are. So again, quite useful for getting a couple different units zipping around the board, and this also works really well with the Conqueror Doctrine, where all your weapons are assault as well. So you can actually be quite mobile with your Skitarii while still getting a lot of shots off.
Right, so the dogs that have the flamers.
I think so, the Sulphur Hounds, yeah.
Yeah, so them being able to zip up the board with flamers.
Yep.
Not too bad.
Yep.
Still shoot them. Yep.
And yeah, you can also even do this with your tanks because they're also still Skitarii units.
Oh, are they? Okay. Right. So it's basically just the robots that aren't Skitarii, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
And the destroyers and breachers are not Skitarii, I don't think.
Okay.
But yeah, there's quite a lot of Skitarii in the book.
Yeah.
So I think this one's quite useful. It just gives you a lot more mobility while still potentially being able to get some attacks off if you're in that doctrine. Pre-calibrated Purge Solution. That's a good name. I like a Purge Solution. Your shooting phase, one AdMech unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. If that unit is battle line, you can also target another friendly Skitarii unit within 6 inches of it. Same thing again. Until the end of the phase, each time model of the units makes a ranged attack, if that target attack is within your opponent's deployment zone, you can re-roll the hit roll. So this one works with the other one, where you're increasing your AP if you're attacking. Actually, no, it's still the Conquer one. Yeah, you're increasing your AP if the opponent's in the deployment zone. So, and again, this will work with non-battle line units, where you can get this off on your tanks, you can get it off on I think even your Ballistari and things like that. They're still Skitarii. So you can get them up to like AP4 potentially. Yeah. So quite cool.
It's quite nice that there's the big incentive to bring your battle line units in this, but a lot of the benefits are going off on
something else.
Something else, yeah. Your high power units, but you have to take the Skitarii infantry to do it.
Yep.
Which is a nice mechanic. I like armies still looking and feeling like armies rather than just going, well, I've got 10 tanks here, which is fun to do as well. But it's a nice army mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, I like how the stratagems are laid out for the general purpose detachment. The detachment rule I think the detachment rule should actually do something more for your Scutari, potentially, rather than what it does.
Being a bombarded.
Yeah, but that's I think the stratagems in this are actually quite good, or at least how they make you want to play. Yeah. So lethal dosage. One AdMech unit's not being selected to shoot this phase, gives them lethal hits. Again, pretty useful on some units.
You do have a lot of shots with Scutari, but then
But this is any AdMech unit.
Yeah.
So it could be your Scutari, could be like your grav cannons, which are 4 shots each.
Yeah. Are they not anti-vehicle like 2+ anyway?
They are, but
So
you
you
could put them into something else. That's
true.
Yeah. So it makes those weapons a little bit more general purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all right for 1 CP. I think it's useful. And lastly, 2 CP, 1 Bulwark Imperative. This one was in the previous, in the index as well, but they've, again, tweaked this one to fit with the whole battle line interaction. Your opponent's shooting phase, after it's been selected attacks, 1 Scutari unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attack unit's attacks. If that unit is battle line, you can also put this within another unit within 6 inches of it, same again. Those 2 units get 4-up invul. Pretty nice. Again, this is quite useful if you can get it off on like some of your vehicles which maybe don't have an invul save, or your Iron Striders and things like that. Most of the army has a 5-up save now. They've fixed that. That was in the balanced state of slate, so we're no longer got 6-up invul. Most things got 5-up, but getting it from 5-up to 4-up is also still pretty good. So I think that one's got quite a lot of play. It's 2 CP, so a little bit trickier, but pretty good. It's a slightly mixed bag, this one. I don't love the detachment ability, but I think the enhancements there's some useful ones in there, and I think the stratagems are all fairly useful as well, and I like how they interact with your army. So not a bad start.
Well done, Red Zone Corps.
Yes, it's improved at least, I would say. Right, so now the Scutari Hunter cohort. This one's interesting. So this one's very much like stealthy, sneaky robots. So the detachment rule is stealth optimization. So your Scutari infantry, your Scutari mounted, and weirdly, your Iron Starter Ballisteri units. There's a few stratagems as well. I don't understand why it's just the Iron Starter Ballisteri and not the other 2 walkers. So the Dragoons don't get this, but the Ballisteri does.
Is that the last kind of ones?
The Ballisteri is the last kind of one.
Yeah, okay.
So that one, the shooting one, gets it, but the Dragoons or the other one that's now been split out doesn't get it. I don't get why. Maybe I'm missing something, but to me they're very similar units. I think they should all have that.
Yep.
I think it should just be Iron Striders, not Iron Strider Ballisteri. Anyway, they get stealth. Stealth's quite handy. -1 hit on your whole army basically is pretty good. And your Sicarian units also can't be targeted, or also get the benefit of cover if they're outside of 12 inches.
So what's Sicarian?
That's just the Ross-Stalkers and the Infiltrators. Okay. So it's sort of useful for protecting them a little bit the first turn or so. They're going to want to get close anyway because they're more of a combat unit. It's potentially interesting, I think, if you use them, the Infiltrators in particular, more as like an objective scoring or action-based unit.
Yeah, just run around the flanks.
Because they're not actually that, their damage output's not amazing. So I think that maybe this is more useful for them to just
play the objective.
Yeah, play the objectives, use them as a scoring unit. And it gives them a little bit extra protection there. Yeah, it's all right. Stealth on your whole army, I think, is pretty good.
Yeah, it's handy.
Nice defensive thing. Right, into the enhancements. The first one is the Cantic Thrallnet.
What's a Thrallnet do?
I don't know what Cantic is. Making words up. It's only on the Marshal, and at the start of the battle round, select 1 friendly Scutari unit within 12 inches of the bearer. Until the next battle round, you get both of your Doctrines active for that. It's pretty cool. I think that's quite useful on some units. It's handy. It's nice that it's on the Marshal as well. It gives him something special to do.
Yeah.
Clandestine Infiltrator. Scutari model only, the bearer, so that's this one actually I think is quite interesting on the Sniper, potentially. Gives you Infiltrate and Scout. So you could, the reason I'm not so sure about this one on the Marshal is you can only join Vanguard and Ranger units anyway. And I don't really know if you want to be infiltrating either of those because they're just going to get blown away if you do.
Who can the sniper join?
You can't join anybody, but you can give it to himself.
Oh, I thought he went in units. Oh, he's a lone operative, is he?
He's a lone operative.
Oh, okay.
So his weapon's 36-inch ranges, so I think most of the time you're going to want to backfield him anyway. But the scout move's potentially interesting because that happens before the first turn. So if you know which turn you're having, you can have him hidden behind something and pop out and shoot, and you can't get shot back. He's already a lone operative, so you can't shoot him anyway most of the time. But there's maybe some play there. I think it's okay. I can't really see how you're going to use it on the Marshal all that often, just because I think the units he joins, you're not really going to want to infiltrate with anyway.
Yeah. Unless
you just really need to get on the center objective early days. But I think wherever you do that with is going to die. Veiled Hunter. This is the Marshal again. After both players have deployed their army, you can take 3 of your Skitarii units and redeploy them.
Yeah.
Great, always good. Redeploy is always good.
Yep.
You can also put things into strategic reserves independent of what you've got. That is super flexible. I think this one's anything that allows you to redeploy is always good.
Yeah.
And it's also after the first turn's determined, which not all of them are now.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so this one is if you know you're going first, you can get your stuff out.
That's really good. I wonder if they're all now going to go to that again.
Yeah, because they've changed. Most of them changed so that it was after. It was before,
and now they've gone the other way. Okay.
Yeah. So this one I think is very, very powerful. It's only your Skitarii infantry units, so it's not going to be your big damage dealers, but still potentially pretty cool. You could actually combine this with the clandestine infiltrator because you could have something infiltrate and then get it out of there if you're not going to be able to do it. So there's definitely some play for that. And lastly, the Battle Sphere Uplink. Skitarii model only in your shooting phase. In your shooting phase, after the bearer's unit has shot, if it is not within engagement range, it can make a normal move up to 6 inches. Also quite nice, you can shoot and get out of dodge again, so there's a lot of move is always quite useful.
It's quite zippy, this army. It's
Yeah.
got a lot of tricks so far.
But again, it's Skitarii model only, so that's only going to be the Marshal or the Sniper. I don't think it's that useful on the Sniper because he's got lone operative anyway. Then the Marshal's can only join Rangers or Vanguards. But it's handy. Again, you can get behind a wall or something or hide after you've done some shooting. It's got some play. I think it could be useful. So I think all of those are useful.
He's not Skitarii.
Nope. I don't think so. I think only the Marshal and the... so the Marshal is Skitarii, he's Skitarii, but everything else is Tech Priest. Tech Priest, Tech Priest, Tech Priest, Tech Priest, Tech Priest. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just the Marshal and now the Sniper. It is nice. There were a bunch before where I think in the 9th edition Codex there was a whole page of enhancements and they could only go on the Skitarii unit, which was just the Marshal at that point. It felt a bit silly.
So you got a lot. But yeah, it's kind of the illusion of choice now as well in a little, because you sort of know, well, you're not going to stick that on the Skitarii Marshal and you're not going to stick that on the Sniper. So there are kind of still only one unit these are character these are going to go on, which is a little bit of a shame. That they're but it's something. What it is.
But it's interesting having a fairly fast moving army. I think you're going to want to be in the Assault Doctrine for quite a lot of this. It's weird, it's actually Assault Doctrine. Doctrina. To keep so you can advance and shoot a lot as well. It's interesting. It's a different kind of flavor. Okay, so now we get on to the stratagems. First one is Bionic Endurance. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after the enemy has selected targets. So you can select a Sicarian, a Taraxi, or a Sidonian unit from your army. So again, the Sicarian is the Rust Stalkers and the Infiltrators, the Taraxi are the little flyers, and the Sidonians are your Dragoons. Again, this is weird that it could work on the Sidonian Dragoons and things, but not the Battlestar Iron Stalker.
Okay, so
It also works on the Sniper because he is Sidonian as well. And this gives you a 5-up feel no pain. So I think this is probably most useful on the Walkers, but maybe also, I don't know, I can't see it being I can't see you really wanting to use it on your Sicarians or Taraxi. Maybe.
maybe if you've got your Sicarian on an objective marker,
Yeah,
you've only got 5 of them. They're stealth. They're minus. They've got cover.
Yeah.
And then just sticking that on them as well.
It could make them really hard to shift.
Yeah, just
or surprisingly hard to shift.
It might score you 5 points in a pinch. So if you just really need to hold an objective, potentially useful on that.
Yeah. So this, I mean, anything that gives you extra damage reduction is nice to have. Okay, next one is Binaric Offense. This one's a 2 CP one. At the start of your shooting phase or the fight phase, a Scutari unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase and 1 enemy unit. Until the end of the phase, include the AP of your weapons by 1. Nice. That one's pretty useful. And it's 2 Scutari units, so yeah, you can actually make some of your shooting units actually a little bit more punchy with this. It also, again, Scutari units work on almost all your whole army is going to be a Scutari unit.
Yeah.
So it works on your tanks, works on your walkers, works on your sulfur hounds and things like that. So you can get your flamers actually up in AP with this too.
Yeah, and being able to advance and still shoot with flamers.
Yep.
Yeah, quite good.
Well, I mean, you can advance with almost your whole army if you're in that Doctrina. So you can actually be quite nippy and do a surprising amount of hurt with that. And again, it's 2 units. So
2 CP, but yeah, 2 units probably worth it.
It's only 1 enemy unit, but it's kind of like a mini Oaths moment, I guess. And the extra AP is probably pretty useful because a lot of the Admech weaponry on your infantry doesn't have any AP.
But yeah, suddenly Winden Terminators on 4s or Wraith Blades on 4s because you got anti-infantry 4+ with a pip of AP. Pushing to that 3-up save helps a lot. Of what you're gonna get.
3 shots each to get 60 shots out of that.
Yeah.
Decent. Yeah. Expedited Purge Protocol. Your charge phase. 1 Scutari unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to declare a charge in which in turn it advance. There we go. Okay, so now we've got a lot of the being able to advance, and now you can actually do something with that as well. The only downside of this is I don't think most of the Admech units are particularly great in combat that can advance and charge.
Depends what you're up against. Other elite armies, they're going to bounce off of. But if they charge into Eldari or Tau or guards, they will kill infantry.
Yep. And so this one is actually potentially useful with the other one as well. The Binaric Offense is going to cost you 3 CP, but the Rust Stalkers, they do devastating wounds. So if you get enough attacks out of them, actually you wouldn't need the AP then. So no, you get enough attacks out of them, they could maybe sneak up on something and do a little bit more hurt on them than they were expecting. So it's okay. Again, I'm not sure most of your Scutari units are particularly great in combat, but at least you've got some options there.
The Iron Strider with a spear, he's Scutari, isn't he?
He is Scutari.
He's Scutari. So next the AP on him, maybe something.
Yeah, the Dragoon.
Against the anti-walker, so he might actually surprise a Dreadnought with his extra AP, and he's probably damage 2, isn't he?
I think so. And he's got Lance or something when he charges.
Yeah, so he could surprise a walker.
Where are you? Sidonian Dragoon. Yeah, he's damage 2, AP 2, so they get him up to AP 3. And sustained
which
hits.
you do kind of need because most walkers in the game now all have a 2-up save. So getting to AP 3 is useful.
Yep. Anti-walker 2, so he's winning on 2s. Lance gives you an extra strength.
Yep.
Does that give you?
No, it's just it's +1 to wind rolls.
+1 to wind rolls. Well, you're winning on 2s anyway, so yeah. But it gives him a little bit more flexibility then. So you'd be strength 8 against infantry too.
Yeah. So 8 attacks, 2 of them hitting on
4s,
hitting on 4s, but then wounding on 2s. Yep. Forcing a Dreadnought to 5-up save and damage 2. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Again, for 1 CP, it's just going to surprise your opponent a little bit, or
this makes you a little bit more damage output than they might expect.
Yeah.
The next one I quite like. It's weird which units again it is. It's 1 Sicarian, a Taraxi, a Sidonian, an Iron Strider, or a Scutari mounted unit. Again, not the now new shooting Dragoon, which I don't understand. But
so he gets the army rule, but no interaction. Sorry, no, not the new shooting Dragoon.
He only gets to work with that one, the Sidonian one.
Yeah.
I just don't know why he's not treated the same as the Iron Strider. Yeah. But anyway, moving past that, you select. Unit for army zombie selected. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your makes an attack, if there are no other enemy units within 6 inches of that, +1 to the wind roll. So
It's a weird one.
it's a weird one. It's very specific, but again, if you've got an enemy unit that's maybe like moved out on infiltrated and got onto a center objective or something like that, or they're out trying to outflank you, you can just go nope. And
or a Terminator unit that's just dominating the center of the board while everything else takes on the objectives.
yeah, so or we just did the Necrons like a Lich Guard unit or something.
+1 to the wind roll. How does +1 to the wind roll interact with anti-infantry and things like that, and -1 is the wind roll?
It's unmodified.
It's unmodified.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I don't think.
So yeah,
I don't think it's useful for that.
Wouldn't make a difference on that, but
Yeah.
okay.
Because it makes the 2s counts as a critical hit.
Yeah.
So it's already modifying
Yeah.
it. So I don't think it makes a difference to that.
But potentially useful on other things. For 1 CP, +1 to wind roll. Again, it's a niche one.
It's a little bit niche, but again, in some situations that could actually be. Again, all of these things are sort of surprises. Like they're not like a general purpose sort of thing, but it just makes things a little bit more useful if you can get into the right circumstances.
Yeah. It's very toolboxy.
Yep. Shroud protocols. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit selects targets, 1 Skitarii infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of the attacks. Until the end of the phase, your unit can only be selected attacked if the attacking model is within range of 12 inches.
Okay. Most codexes seem to be having something along these lines.
Yep, it's cool. You just go, no, you can't shoot that. It's only Skitarii infantry units, so it's a little bit niche, but it keeps...
Again, could save you 5 points.
Yeah,
if
and
you're
again,
on an objective.
I also, again, think this could be useful on infiltrators if they're just scoring, because you can just go, they're really fragile, they're off doing an action or something, you just go, you can't target them this turn.
Yeah.
Not the most punchy or like general purpose, but that could be really useful on a bench.
Could win you a game.
Could win you a game, yeah. Or if you have to go into a table quarter to complete an action or get engaged or something, and you don't really want to do it, but you can keep that unit safe. So yeah, it's quite useful. And lastly, we have programmed withdrawal. The end of your opponent's fight phase, up to 2 Sicarian units or 1 Skitarii infantry or Skitarii mounted units. Remove those units from the battlefield and place them into strategic reserves. Again, lots of movement shenanigans. Each unit targeted with this stratagem must be more than 3 inches away from the area. So yeah, you can't be in within engagement range, but again, the end of your opponent's turn, you can just move models back and get them back in your turn. So it gives you a lot of mobility again, and it's 1 CP. So you can do this with 2 Sicarian units. Again, that's your Rust Rockers, your Infiltrators. So again, I'm actually really liking Infiltrators in this list because you could just you can have them in 1 quarter doing an action, you can take them off the board in your opponent's turn, put them in another quarter in your turn, and do an action again.
They pump out quite a lot of shots as well, don't they, Infiltrators?
They're okay. They've only got pistols, so their range is quite short.
Well, they're like 3 shots each, aren't
yeah.
they, pistols?
Let's have a quick look
you can
at
get +1 to wind on that.
Yep.
Extra AP.
So 2 attacks each. Oh, sorry. They got 5 attacks with the blaster. Strength 3, damage 1. Then the other one is 3 attacks, strength 4, damage 1. They're okay. I mean, it's a lot of shots. It's not going to do a whole lot.
No, but
you get the AP on that.
Yeah, and the +1 to wind.
Yep.
Yeah, again, could surprise an opponent.
Yep. I think you probably want the 3 shots with just getting to strength 4, so you're not winning stuff.
Yeah.
But you also have that stratagem to give you the +1 to wound.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to be wounding a lot of light infantry on 4 still.
Yeah.
Like, Eldar won't like that.
No.
Getting, 25 shots?
Yep.
Yeah, light infantry won't like, and Eldar light infantry is also quite elite as well. So Eldar really won't like getting shot by stuff like that. So it
actually makes Infiltrators interesting.
Yeah.
I think you'd want a couple of them in this list to be doing different types of things, being very mobile. Anyway, all right, so last stratagem, programmed withdrawal. At the end of your opponent's fight phase. Oh no, that's one we just did. We did that.
Did that one.
I'm getting confused. We've done this already. I think this is an interesting detachment. It's not super powerful, but you've got so many movement shenanigans. And again, like the isolate and destroy, you can sort of pick off enemy units in particular things, or if they've gotten too far ahead. So you're really changing how your opponent's going to want to play the game as well, by maybe having to move their units in particular ways so you can't surround them or get advances around them or pick them off. I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be quite tricky to play with because your units are not the most powerful, the ones that this is encouraging you to
You do
take.
have a little bit of a defensive buff off the bat to help keep things alive. And then, some fun tricks in there.
And you can still take the Iron Striders with it.
Yeah, they're going to be your main damage output.
Yes,
I think. The last cannons on the Iron Striders and the Ballista, I think, are going to be.
That is the same thing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Your 3 types of Iron Striders, I think, will have to be doing the heavy lifting of.
I think my main gripe about this one is the one thing that changed in the data sheets that we didn't talk about. Where are you? Is they split up the Dragoon into 2 data sheets now. So you've got the one with the Taser Lance and you've got the one with the Radium Giselle. I think the one with the Radium Giselle should also be counted as an Iron Strider in this. I don't really know why it's not. I kind of understand why the Dragoon maybe. I don't know. I think both of those should really be. Yeah. I think all of this page should be impacted the same way. I don't think that would be overpowered, but I think it would give you more options. And because then you've got, Iron Strider gives you a little bit more anti-tank. The Dragoon with the Radium Giselle is actually quite interesting now because he gives you a little bit more anti-infantry. And your Dragoon gives you your anti-walker. So I think that would give you a few more options that you don't have anywhere with your Skitarii infantry to deal with. So that's my main gripe. I think I would just like all Sidonian units to get treated equally rather than it just be just the Iron Striders.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I mean, you've got a lot of characters anyway, but this seems to be the missing unit that I think could do with a character that could join.
That'd be cool, actually.
Because
mounted character.
Because then you can give them the infiltrate and stuff.
I was see if I find it. There was one piece of artwork in here where I was like, I want that unit because it was like a floating tech priest. Sorry, I got very distracted now. Yeah, I want that. Like that should be a model.
But it's the Forgel model. It looks a little
Is
bit
it a little bit like that? But there's 2 of them on here as well. Like I want a big floaty tech priest guy. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Give us one of those, please. Interesting detachment. I don't think I've got the models to be able to run this with my Animist right now, but I'd be tempted to give it a go sometime if I can get a few more infiltrators and stuff pumped out.
Maybe one more thing to double up as another Iron Strider.
Yes.
Potentially. Because I think you probably want at least 4 of them in this. And as you say, 2 units of Ruststalkers or infiltrators. Yeah. Other than that, you've got the infantry.
Yep. So interesting. Maybe not the biggest damage output, but I think good maneuverability is always a good thing to have. And there's
survivability in there as well. You've got that off the bat, and there's a lot of defensive against shooting stratagems. If opponent can get into combat with you, I think this army's going to die.
Yes.
But if it's coming up against another shooty army, it might be able to just outlast them with some tricks.
Not having a fallback and charge or fallback and shoot is maybe...
Yeah, you might need a unit of the dogs as well.
Yeah,
more of a screen.
You need screens.
You need screens to do this.
But I think if a good player who knows how to move their units well, I think you could actually do some interesting things with this list. And it does feel very flavorful. So I think this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
We have the Data Salma Conclave. Now, I'll be honest, I'll get this one out the bat early. I don't really like the Electro-Piece models right now, so this has discouraged me from spending too much time in that section of the book in general, but I will do my best to give you an overview of kind of what's going on here. So the attachment rule for this one is Benedictions of the Omnicide, and this one's, again, kind of throwback to some of the previous codexes to give some of that ability back. So you've got your Panegyric Procession, that's a word, and the Citation in Savagery. The Panegyric Procession gives your Cult Mechanicus units...
So you pick one of these at the start of the first battle round.
But you stuck with it the whole game.
Okay, right.
So it's not the most flexible. So you're kind of... And one of these is a combat one and one of these is a shooting one. So you're kind of going all in on shooting or combat before the game starts.
Yeah, and depending on how you've built your army, you probably know which one of these you're going to take
exactly.
as well.
So it's a little odd. So the first one is if you are within half range, when you make a range attack, you increase your AP by 1.
Useful.
You got to get very close.
It's only on Cult Mechanicus.
Yes.
So what's that? It's just Electro Priests.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But it will work. All of the tech priests have the Cult Mechanicus keyword, so it will work on all the
Okay.
units that they join.
Okay,
That was one
that's-
thing I didn't kind of realize early on as well.
That's quite good. then.
So it will give you a good reason to put Tech Priest in lots of units, but you also have to get within half range. Yeah, which I don't think you really want to do with most of your non-Electro Priest units anyway, because they'll
No.
just die.
Yeah.
Citation and Savagery is the combat one. So each time a Cult Mechanicus in your army is selected to fight, if that unit made a charge this move, it gets +1 strength and adds +1 to attack. So it
Could
makes them a
make
little bit punchier.
Yeah, it could make them quite meaty.
Yep. So I think that one's pretty decent. You're going all in on combat Electro Priests for that, because I don't think none of the Tech Priests can join like your Rust Stalkers or things, so they're not going to make them any better. So this is really only working on the Electro Priests.
What's their shooty attack like? With the range on that? If they get within half range for the extra AP?
Let's have a look. Right, so these ones have a 12-inch range, so you got to get within 6 inches, and it
This
is
gives it an AP. 3 attacks, strength 5, no AP. So it
Yeah.
gives it an AP, and the other one doesn't have any shooting attacks.
yeah. So that's not great
Not great, no.
for your whole army rule.
No. If you had 10 of them, you'd be 30.
Hit
Quite
by
good.
attacks until the end of your opponent's next turn. Shocked. You subtract 2 inches from advance and charge rolls for the unit that was hit by it. Yeah. Don't know. That feels like spending your whole army on making a 6-inch shot better.
Yeah,
does not seem great.
No, so you're probably going in on the combat. But
Yep.
again, what was it? +1 to wind for the combat one? Or was it an AP?
The
as well?
+1 is when you charge, it's +1 strength and +1 AP.
No, +1 strength, +1 attack.
Oh, +1 attack, yeah. So that would get them up to 4 attacks and strength 6.
Still no AP.
Still no AP.
And
The other one would get them up to strength 7.
With 3 attacks.
3
each.
attacks, AP 1 damage 2. That's probably better.
But yeah, not amazing.
Not amazing.
No, you think you need 3 units of them just to make this potentially viable.
You might need 3 of both.
Right?
Yep. Or
You're going in on the
you're
Cult
just,
Mechanicus and making your shooting
you're just comparing characters and units,
in vehicles as well. You probably
in
need-
vehicles.
Yeah, to drop them
Yeah.
out and
Or you
shoot.
take Rangers because they've got 36-inch range.
Yeah, that's there. And they're just one shot though at that range, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are they rapid
They're
fire?
only one notch. I think the Rangers are just one shot.
Okay.
I don't think I got rapid fire.
Yeah.
Where are we? Galvanic rifle. Yeah. Oh, it's 30 inches.
You
Yeah,
gotta get
one
them
shot.
50.
Strength 4 with an AP. Not great.
Not great.
2 shots actually. It's 2 shots.
2 shots. Slightly better, but
So you get 20 shots out of the unit.
you can get an AP on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think you're gonna want a lot of units within 15 inches of your Rangers.
No, it's a bit like Tau. You're playing the high risk game. You've got to get there and you've got to
Do enough damage.
Shoot dead what you're going after.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
Anyway.
see what the enhancements do.
Right, so the Mechanicus Locum, good name. Tech Priest model only. The bearership lead has a leadership value of 6 up, and once per battle round, at the start of any phase, you can select one friendly Cult Mechanicus unit as battle shocked and within 12 inches, and they're no longer battle shocked. Yeah.
Fine.
You
good
can
for
tell
them.
we're not big fans of battle shock over here.
No, it's just for the objective game, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. All right. Mantle of the Gnosticarch. Gnosticarch.
Gnosticarch?
Sure. Tech Priest model only. Each time attack is allocated to the bearer, change the damage characteristics of the attacks to 1. Hilarious. Not sure you're going to use it all that often.
Yeah, when it comes up, sure.
I guess you stick that on your warlord just so you don't give up slay the warlord easily.
Yeah, there's nothing that they can... Tech Priest. What's a Tech Priest?
All the characters other than the marshal.
So, like the one in the robots.
The data smith.
Yeah.
He's not. Oh, he might be.
Because... Oh, but he's not a character, is he?
No, I don't think he's a character.
Yeah, that'd be funny on him. You go, oh, lad's cannon at my robots. I'll take that 1 wound.
That's true.
But it might not work.
He already gets to feel no pain when he's in that unit.
Yeah, true. So you 1 wound and then he gets feel no pain 5 of them. If you could take on him, but I don't think you can because he's not a character. But
Yeah.
that would have been...
Yeah, I don't think he is. That would have been funny.
Yeah, so
But
yeah,
also very niche.
yeah, none of them can join vehicles
Nope.
other than him, really. So, yeah,
He can join the mini robots. You can put them in the breachers and the.
it's maybe...
So you're kind of just sacrificing your character potentially to.
yeah, because probably only 2-3 wins, aren't they?
Yeah,
So, yeah, not great.
yeah.
I guess it's for the combat thing, but... Yeah, I don't. Yeah, your data smiths are going to be dying anyway. You're probably going to get to that character if something's coming back at it. So, yeah, maybe useful, not too sure.
Yeah. Data Bless Auto Sermon. Tech Priest only. Once per battle at the start of your command phase, you can select the benediction of the Omnissiah you did not select at the start. Yes, and then you get the other one in addition. So there's always one of these. Yeah. I mean, I think, as we were saying, I think you're almost going to have to take both types of Electro Priest to get the most out of this. So this will at least mean you can get one of them being twice as punchy once. It's only once per battle. I don't think the things are particularly strong anyway. It's okay. You're probably going to need it, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's great. And last one, the Temper Copy. That sounds like a Doctor Who thing. The bear has fight first. Okay, you're probably going to need that too.
You need that, yeah. Because your tech priests are just going to die if they get hit back.
Yeah.
One of the characters does make the tech priest a bit more durable, doesn't he?
One of the
characters that joins them. I thought he gave them like a.
He makes their feel no pain go from a 5 to 4. That's the Dominus.
So yeah, you're probably running one of them in all your tech priest units that you're doing in this.
So you're probably going to take 3 Dominus. One of them's going to get the fight first one, and one of them's going to take the one that lets you change the thing.
Yeah. But again, I still think you're just going to bounce off a lot of stuff with these guys.
Well, let's see what the stratagems do. Yeah. You can tell we're not super hot on this attachment so far. All right, first up we have Incantation of the Iron Soul. Okay, this is what we were thought. Any phase just after you allocate a mortal wound to a Cult Mechanicus. All right, we're going to get to this. The Cult Mechanicus model. Until the end of the phase, Cult Mechanicus models in your unit have the Feel No Pain 4-up ability against mortal wounds. There are a few things in this book I've noticed that I think were written before the mortal wound change, because that is useless now. Because there's just so few things that dish out mortal wounds because the devastating wound thing changed.
Yeah. You probably are in this gonna have to have all these guys in vehicles. So if your vehicle does explode, that is one of the things that still causes mortal wounds. But yeah, there's not a lot.
This was a lot more useful against devastating wounds because they don't really have an armor save, and they've mostly got a Feel No Pain. So that one we could see getting FAQ. Yeah, and I remember there being a few other ones which are kind of like this as well. So that one's not useful right now, but could be really useful if
they change it to devastating wounds.
Yes, or something else. Yeah. Chant of the Remorseless Fist. Sounds like a Marvel thing. My fist is remorseless. All right, fight phase. One Cult Mechanicus in the army unit has not been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a Cult Mechanicus smaller unit makes a melee attack, add +1 to the wound roll. That's pretty good. Yeah. Also with the +1 strength.
And +1 attack. Yeah, okay.
So that actually makes your Electro Priests.
Does that get them up to strength 5 or just strength 4?
I think it gets the bigger ones up to strength 7.
So Wind and Terminators on 2s.
Is that right? Sorry.
AP -1.
So they're strength 6. There'd be +1 strength on the charge. They would get up to strength 7.
And even that one would get them wounding on 2s as well.
Yeah.
So either way, you'd be wounding most infantry on 2s.
Yeah.
Which is not nothing.
Yeah.
But these guys still have an AP.
They still have an AP. Well, they would if they're. No, it's not.
It's +1 strength, +1 attack.
Yeah. I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
They do devastating wounds.
Sustained hits is what
they get sustained hits.
So they will turn out a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
But they just don't.
Oh yeah.
They'll go through it, a lot of infantry.
They'll kill Marines.
They will kill Marines. But with a 2-up save, anything with a 2-up save, I don't think either unit of Electro Priests can deal with it. No. So you still need something else in your army for dealing with elite infantry.
Yeah. But that one's pretty good. I think +1 to wound on top of your already +1 strength.
And +1 attack.
And +1 attack.
Yep.
They're at least going to hit pretty hard.
Yep.
All right. Verse of Vengeance. I like these names. It's another good name.
It's very chaplain-y.
Yeah. Well, we got incantation, a chant, a verse, a litany, a tribute, and a blessing. Yes. Yeah. There's a theme here. The Verse of Vengeance. Verse of Vengeance. This also sounds like something.
It sounds very V for Vendetta. It's a lot of these.
Fight phase. Just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. One Cult Mechanicus. Fight on death on a 4+.
Sure.
So just skip to the end of that one.
Again, you're probably going to need that because you are going to be dying, and if these guys are the core of your army, you're going to need them to do as much damage as they can. So the unit that doesn't have the fight first,
you're going to need this.
You're going to need the stratagem on them.
Yep. Tribute of Emphatic Veneration. Start of your moon phase. Select one Cult Mechanicus unit for your army and one enemy unit within the 18 inches of it. That enemy unit must take a battle shock test. If that test is failed until the start of your next command phase, each time modding that enemy unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from hit roll. Rubbish.
It's it'll be really nasty against something like Guard.
Yep.
Or Tau, which doesn't have a great leadership.
Yeah, it's gonna punish armies which are already bad. Or like
already hitting on 4s that aren't elite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eldar probably won't care, Marines probably won't care, but anything that's got a 7 or 7 plus or worse leadership won't
that's
love.
already hitting on 4s.
Yeah, that's already hitting on 4s. Won't love that.
It's okay.
Which So actually I think Necrons are only leadership 7 as well, I think. And they're only hitting on 4s a lot of times. So there's a few armies that will affect and other ones that it's not going to do much against either. The thing is with Necrons, Tau, and Guard anyway, and with what you're going to be wanting to take in this, you're already very fragile. So even if lasguns, they're in rapid fire, they're still going to get 7 hits through. Still going to make you make 4 saves.
Electro Priests have a 7-up save.
Yeah. No, so you still might kill a couple Electro Priests just with a unit of Guard. So I don't know.
It's okay. At least there's something defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't love it.
Yeah.
Litany of the Electromancer, your shooting phase. 1 Cult Mechanicus unit from your army. Roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of 1 more Cult Mechanicus. You deal out of that. Add 1 to result. On a 5+, that enemy unit's of D3 more. Yeah, so there's zapping stuff nearby.
And if it's Electro Priest, it's
on a 5-up rather than a 6.
Yeah.
Oh no, adding 1 to the result if it's Electro Priest, so it would be a 4-up.
4-up.
Yeah, D3 mortal wounds on a 4-up's okay.
It does help their damage output. If you can get them in a vehicle, get them into the center of the board, their combat's still going to be underwhelming, but if they can get within 6 inches of a few units in the middle of the board.
And this actually gives the Fulgurmites and the staff guys some shooting output, essentially.
Yeah.
I think you're really loading up on them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. It does actually something with mortal wounds, which is nice. Okay.
Yeah, because you do need something that's going to buff up your damage.
Yeah.
Because the Electro Priests, as I say, will be nasty on light infantry.
Yep.
And maybe one of them will deal with regular Marines, but anything elite, I think they're just going to get
pummeled.
Bumps back. Yeah.
Luminescent Blessing. Your opponent's shooting phase. 1 Cult Mechanicus unit from your army was selected as the target. You get a 4-up invul. Pretty good.
Yeah, makes you more reliable.
Yep.
So you got 4-up invul and the 4-up feel no pain, is that right?
You got with the
Manipulous. No.
With the Dominus,
Dominus.
I think you get. We'll double check. Yeah, where's the Dominus? I think he gives you them a 4-up feel no pain.
So that would make your Electro Priests kind of annoying to deal with. A 4-up, 4-up.
Yeah, 4-up, 4-up.
Yeah. They're just 1 wound each though, aren't they?
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, maybe. The thing is, you only need to keep 1 around to be able to do the litany of the Necromancer and dish out mortal wounds. So, okay. But yeah, underwhelmed by...
Not my favourite attachment, this one. I could just be... I think this, again, it's going to be about army build because this is all about making the Electro piece tougher, but I think you're still going to need a lot of other units to actually do damage output against most things because they're so niche.
Well, it does affect when you've got,
tech priests, but they can only join Skitarii.
Who aren't going to have the biggest output either.
No.
So you're still going to need
I think you get
Dune Crawlers or something on the back to deal with heavy infantry.
I actually don't know if you take any Skitarii in this and there's a tech priest can usually join the breachers and the destroyers.
So I take them in there,
So I think the Electro priests become your anti-infantry and your shooting becomes the breachers and destroyers. And those are the ones you buff up. Maybe there's some play in that. Let us know what you think. I'm not as familiar with the Electro priests in general.
They don't have the Cult Mechanicus on their own, the breachers.
No.
What are they then?
I don't think they're just Cataphron. They've got doctrines still, but I don't think they're Skitarii.
Yeah, there's been nothing that's really affected them.
So they are called Mechanicus. Okay.
So you don't need characters in them, so it does affect them as well.
Okay, so this does make breachers and destroyers much better. I missed that. Okay, so
that is your anti-shooting, and a lot of them are 36-inch range and stuff, so you can get within half range of it. So that helps a little bit with this as well, actually.
Okay, so you are going to want a bit more mix of that. Yeah, sorry, I completely missed that. That makes some of this a bit more playable, I think.
Yeah.
Again, it's weird that a lot of these are in your fight phase.
There was a couple shooting buffs, I think. Was there?
No, the one shooting one is the one that is better with your Electro Priests.
Yeah, okay.
But getting the 4-up invul on your destroyers and things is quite good.
Quite good,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I think you can get more out of the destroyers than just the regular detachment, though. I think some of the stratagems there are better.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right.
That's that.
That's that. Explorator Maniple. This is one which, again, like the stealthy one, I actually really like the theme of this one. I think there's some things which feel a little bit off about it from the stratagem side of things, but I actually think it's a nice thematic one. So we'll get into this one. So the Explorator Maniple, the detachment rule is acquisition at any cost. So at the start of your command phase, select one objective marker. Until the start of your next command phase, that objective marker is your acquisition objective marker. Each time an AgMech model from your army makes an attack, if that model unit is within range of the acquisition objective marker, or if the target is in range of the objective marker, reroll a wound roll of 1. I think this is quite cool because you can. It's kind of a little bit like how Oaths of Moment works again, but you can change it. It's around the objective markers. And you can make it the one in your own deployment zone for the first couple turns if you want. You can just kind of castle around that, and then as the game moves on, your opponent's moved out into your things, you can start picking off things which are on there. So I think this one's quite useful. I think it's relatively flexible, and rerolling wounds rerolling once to wound is actually quite decent damage buff for most of the things in here.
Yep.
I think that's useful, and for me, the way I think of AdMech as I know they'll put together warbands and stuff every now and again, but to me, I imagine them for the most part being out on the field because they're trying to acquire stuff.
Yeah.
So objective-based stratagems and abilities just, to me, feels very thematic for AdMech. So this one's off to a good start already. And then this one is also the one that I mentioned earlier where all of the enhancements are based off of the old Tech Priest disciplines. So it's a way they've got the fluff kind of back in the rules as well for this. These were all of the disciplines we had before. So the first one is the Magos, and this is Tech Priest model only. At the end of your command phase, if the bearer is within range of your acquisition objective marker, roll 1d6. On a 4-up, you gain a CP. Decent. And again, you can just have him parked on your home field objective and getting that most of the game. Or you can have it on something like Techno-Archaeologist, who's the one that gives you better objective control. He can be out with a unit just trying to grab stuff in the middle of the board. So I think there's multiple uses for that, and getting more CP is always nice. Again, maybe not the one to build around if you've got the points left over. Not bad.
Yep.
Janitor, a Tech Priest model only. While the bearer is leading a unit within range of your acquisition marker, that unit has a 4-up invul save. Again, good in both directions. You can have it on your backfield objective to just make that unit really tanky, or you can be more aggressive with something to get out on an acquisition marker and feel like you can actually hold it for a little while.
Yeah.
Good, like that too. Logi's a bear.
That's Yogi.
That's Yogi. Tech Priest model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add one attacking unit on the acquisition marker, or add +1 to hit. +1 to hit's great, and you're also going to be getting that reroll 1 to wound.
Yep.
This one I think is almost an auto include. Again, you're probably going to want this on something that's going to be with a destroyer or breacher unit to get their guns going off really well, because they're only hit on 4s, so that gets them hitting on 3s.
Yep.
And you could have their weapons be heavy with the Doctrine as well, so that gets them hitting.
And then you can have them
you
can have them with an anti-vehicle 2+ reroll 1s as well.
Yep.
Can you? Yeah. So
that's pretty decent.
Very reliable.
Yep. So I think that one's really good. Lastly, we have Artisan, Tech Priest model only. While the bearer is leading a unit that is within range of your acquisition objective marker, once per phase, you can change the result of 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 saving roll to an unmodified 6. Mini Miracle Dice.
Yep.
Quite handy. I'm not sure it doesn't give you a damage roll, but since everything's got an invul save, you can just get an automatic invul save out of that, which is nice.
It's after the roll as well, which is nice.
Yep. Change the result of roll.
Yep.
I think that's handy. I think all of those are really cool, actually.
Yeah. No, I think there's a place for all. I agree with you. I think Logi, whatever is probably the one you go for first.
Yep.
But I think depending on your playstyle, all the other ones are.
Yep.
Other 3 are quite useful as well, depending on what you want.
Yep. Right. Get into stratagems. Cached acquisition. Any phase, 1 AdMech unit from your army that was just destroyed when it was within range of an objective marker you controlled. You can use a stratagem even though the unit was just destroyed, obviously. That objective marker remains under your control until the opponent gets it.
Yeah, it's only useful if you've died in shooting.
Yeah.
If you died in combat, your opponent's going to
Probably on it anyway.
Going to have that anyway. Yeah, it's okay to have in your back pocket.
Yep.
Like if you've got something out on the flank, sitting on an objective, your opponent shoots it, it's dead. You can just go, well, I still control that.
Yep. So again, you can maybe be a bit more aggressive with infiltrators or things that can get out of the table a little bit more. Also with your Skitarii Rangers, it makes their scout move maybe a little bit more useful to get out a little bit more. Or if you can put a slightly more fragile unit on your backfield objective, because with the way the detachment rule works, I said you're probably going to use your backfield objective as your acquisition for the first turn or two, and then you want to transition it to the middle ones later. So actually being able to not be as dependent on your backfield objective and just going, I still control it as my army's moved out a little bit more, because this one is going to reward you for getting on those central objectives.
Yeah. Or your opponent getting onto them.
Or your opponent
gets onto one and you just go, well, I'm going to shoot that. And say you've got onto one and your opponent's gone, well, I'm going to shoot you. And then you can now just go, well, I still control that.
Still control it. Yep. Yeah. So I think this one's pretty good. For 1 CP, it's probably going to be quite useful in quite a lot of games. Priority Reclamation, fight phase just before an Adeptus Mechanicus consolidation. That AdMech unit, yes. Until the end of the phase, each time a model unit makes a consolidation move, it can move up to 6 inches instead of 3 inches, provided your unit ends that consolidation move within range of your acquisition objective marker. Extra movement's always nice. You can also do things like tagging extra units in this. Not sure. It may be a bit situational, but I think this one could be quite useful in a couple different situations. 6-inch consolidation is quite handy.
Yeah, you have to have killed what you're in combat with, because you can't do it if you're still within 3 inches of a unit, but potentially useful. I don't know what you're going to be killing stuff in combat with. But maybe light infantry you will be able to do with.
It works on your robots too, they're still AdMech.
Yeah.
So and you could actually potentially get them into cover or something as well. It's handy. It may not come up all the time, but I think it's quite useful.
Yeah.
Info Space Scholar, your command phase, 1 tech priest model from your army and 1 objective marker within 24 inches. That other objective becomes an acquisition marker. You're going to use this all the time to get multiple acquisition markers off, because then you can have some of your units on them and an enemy unit on them, and they're all going to get the buff. Yeah. This one's great.
Yeah, if your opponent's spread out onto no man's land is on 2 objectives, you really want to just get them off of both. Gives you, sort of like Rowan said, a mini Yosef moment on those two objective markers for the reroll wind rolls of 1. Yes, decent.
So I think this one's going to come up a lot, and it's only 1 CP. This one also makes me think that having the mage just to farm a CP every turn might be more useful, just so you basically get this for free.
Yeah.
As I think it's going to be that useful.
Yep.
The Auto Oracular Retrieval.
2 CP.
Auto Oracular, you're retrieving an whatever. Your shooting phase. 1 AdMech unit from your army that disembarked from a transport. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit within range of your acquisition objective marker, +1 to wounds. Decent. There's another one which interacts with transports in this as well.
Yeah, I think the previous one needed a transport interaction as well, because you're going to need it with your tech priest. You can't take tech priest. So I think I would have liked to see a transport interaction in that one. But anyway, we're on to Explorator Maniple now.
Yeah. So. I feel like I'm missing this one a little bit. 2 CP seems a lot for something that's so situational, and the damage output's not amazing. You're already rerolling 1s, which is nice. +1 to wound, but it has to be an AdMech unit that disembarked from a transport. Like, that feels a little specific to me for how often you're going to be able to use this. And I don't think the damage output's that much. It's good. It's good.
How many shots did Electro Priests get? This one might be that Electro Priests are actually better in this detachment. They're 3 shots each, strength 5, so you'd be winning most infantry on 2s.
Yeah.
And with sustained hits too. 10 of them, 30 shots, gonna hit with 15, but of those 15 hits, 5 of them are gonna be 6s. That's gonna be an extra 10, so 25 hits, and then wounded on 2s. It's not bad.
Rerolling 1 still.
Rerun it and then reroll 1s to wound. So you're likely to get all those wounds through. But it's no AP.
No damage.
But it's a lot of 3-up saves for like Marines to make. 2 CP is a lot.
Yeah,
2 CP is a lot.
I think I need to do the math on this one and figure out which units you get the most just dice rolling happening that this is going to go off on. Again, even on the Vanguard with 30 shots coming out of them,
Thing is, you don't need the +1 to wound because you're anti-infantry.
You
With,
send every 4.
And you're like strength 3
Oh,
or
yeah.
you're not, so it doesn't help you really.
No.
So I think it's like Electro Priest is the only thing that
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not sure. Seems a bit. Yeah. Damage output for the price and the situation seems a bit off for that one.
Who's the dude with the flamer?
The Manipulus?
When you're on twos on a flamer, so it might just depend on what character you've got in the unit and what gun they've got.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 CP is expensive for that. The vehicle doesn't get it as well. Well, they'll make it.
In your unit, no.
So it would have helped if the vehicle. No, 2 CP is expensive.
Yeah. Incense Exhaust. So this one I think is just funny. I like the theme of this one. When your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, one AdMech unit from your army that was selected as a target that is within 6 inches of an AdMech vehicle with smoke. Until the end of phase, both of those units get stealth and the benefit of cover. -1 to hit and +1 to save. Love it.
Yeah.
And that also basically, you're going to want to do this almost all the time because it basically gives you the smoke keyword going off for free. So you don't have to use the smoke stratagem.
Or it's like, using the smoke stratagem
as a bonus.
Better.
Yeah. So I think that's really cool. It's just a better smoke stratagem for the same cost.
Is it an aura or just one unit? No, you put it on one
unit within 6 inches. So but it does still impact the vehicle as well.
Yeah, it's decent.
Yeah. It's your opponent can just get around this by shooting the vehicle first and forcing you to smoke on that because you have to target the AdMech infantry unit.
Oh, that's true.
So that's a bit annoying. There's ways of, and so it's whether they're really going to want to shoot your infantry or not.
Yeah.
But it does deter them from shooting your infantry, which is quite useful.
Yeah, that is annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So-
they could have slightly reworded that.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
It's okay. And it's just funny. I like the idea of incensed exhaust in general. I'm not sure how them being incensed makes them more effective at being smoky, but that's fine. And the last one is Reactive Safeguard. Your opponent's charge phase just after an enemy unit has got a charge. One AdMech infantry unit from your army that was within range of an acquisition marker that was selected as a target of that charge and a transport, you can embark within that transport. So you can just run away.
I think Electro Priests are better in this detachment.
Yep.
Than their own one.
Yep.
Which is
they can just go, all right, we're running away now.
Yeah. They can jump out,
kill something.
Do the maths on whether the 2 CP on that is worth it, but they can do that 2 CP, charge something, and then as the counter charge comes in, they can jump back in their transport. So I think that's, I would have liked to see either one of those stratagems in the Electro Priests detachment, because I think you're going to be running transports in that, so the fact they don't have a transport interaction kind of annoys me. But
yeah, this overall detachment's slightly, again, mixed bag for me. I love the theme of it. I like the idea of AdMech having to get on objectives and that making them more buffed. I like that all the enhancements seem really useful to me. I think you're going to want to run a lot of tech priests with this. I think the stratagems are mixed. Like the Info Slave Skull to get 2 acquisition markers seems like you're going to want to do that almost all the time. But the other ones seem a little situational, and you don't really have a big damage buff from this. So you're really relying on that reroll wound roll of 1 a lot. Whether that's going to be enough or not, I think we need to play out a little bit to see. It's interesting. I feel like they got this mostly right, but I'm not told. As you said, I feel like the stratagems maybe are on the wrong place.
Yeah. Or that one was just 1 CP. 2 CP just seems like a lot. But you can farm. At least it doesn't have a way of farming. Quite reliable
but it means
farming as well.
It really wants you to be in transports, hopping out of them, shooting stuff, and then hopping back into transports. Again, it's reinforcing the theme that they want you to play with, which I like. I think it's interesting. I think I'm going to try this one a couple times. I will need to get some transports to make it work. But I think it's an interesting one. Right, and lastly, we have the Cohort Cybernetica. This one has really grown on me. I initially glanced at it, and like the detachment rule is Cybernetica units from your army get the Doctrine of Imperatives. That seems that's the shortest detachment rule I think I've seen in any codex so far, and doesn't seem particularly inspiring. But I actually think the way that they've written this overall detachment is quite clever, and I think it's fun. So we'll get into it.
First, just for people who don't know, the Legio Cybernetica are just your robots.
Robots, but that was the thing I made a mistake on. Almost everything in this also works on your vehicles. So it's really more about a mechanized force. The robots get a lot of buffs, but I think every stratagem also works on vehicles.
Okay.
So it's going to work on your tanks, and I don't remember if the Iron Striders are vehicles or not.
Surely. Oh no, they might be mounted.
No, they are vehicles. So it's going to work on all your Iron Striders and things too. So bear that in mind. It covers more than I thought. It's just the detachment rule itself is quite limited. But bear in mind the detachment rule, your army rule's covering everything already anyway. So it's just kind of fitting the one thing that wasn't in your army rule into your army rule now.
Yep.
Right. Enhancements, Necromechanic. I think this might be one of the single best enhancements in the whole book. Tech Priest model only, once per battle round, when a saving throw made for a Legio Cybernetica or AdMech vehicle model within 12 inches of that bear is failed, you can make the damage of that attack 0.
Yeah.
And you can do this once per battle round. Just go, no damage. That massive cannon you've got, nothing. Does nothing.
Yeah, it's the same as the Iron Storm Spearhead, something like that, for the Space Marines. For the Tech Marine, he can do the same thing. I think his aura was only 3 inches rather than 12. 12 just gives you a lot of scope, but yeah, it's great.
You're going to have to keep him alive. Like, he's going to be priority target 1 for precision, getting sniped, but I think that is a phenomenally good enhancement, especially because you're going to be wanting to run a lot of vehicles in this.
Yeah. And robots as well, because they're 8 wounds, and if your opponent and they've got a lot of impulse and stuff, but if your opponent manages to get it through big damage, you can just go.
And it's after the roll.
Yeah.
You just go, nope, damage 0.
Yep.
Once per round. Great enhancement, love it. Loader Machines. Tech Priest model only. Once per turn, at the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy vehicle unit within 12 inches and visible. That unit must take a leadership test. If that test is passed until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit. If it fails, it can't shoot.
That's
pretty cool.
Really strong. 12 inches, you've got to have something running up the board potentially. But against Tau, who are going to be wanting to come towards you a lot of time, that's very nasty. Vehicle unit. So that's if you come up against a guy who's got 6 crisis suits, that's their core of the army. That's really powerful. You have to be aware of that, because that could ruin a game. That could. Yeah, and I love very, very strong.
I do like that something still happens even if they pass the leadership test as well, because I don't like these ones where it's just like it's an all or nothing. At least it's minus when it hits already pretty good. Not being able to shoot at all is hilarious.
No, because for crises, for example, with a commander in it, that's going to be like an 800 point unit.
Yep.
Almost, and that not being able to shoot that's huge.
Yep.
That can, if your opponent wasn't aware of that, you need to be really careful that you let your opponent know you've got that in the arsenal, because, and even if you don't get it off, it's a huge aerial denial.
Yep, 12 inches.
12 inches.
Yep. So I think you stick this on a Dominus, maybe with a unit of the Breachers. So he's got some protection there, and they're already going to want to be relatively close anyway. They're decent-ish in combat.
Yeah.
You obviously can't put it on a unit with the robots, which is really would be really nasty. Or even if you're still taking Electro Priests, might work with them. Actually, again, because they're going to want to be close.
Off the board.
So that one's good as well. Really good enhancement.
Yep.
Emotionless Clarity. This one's a fun one. Tech Priest model only, once per turn, when a Legio Cybernetica or AdMech vehicle with a deadly demise ability that's within 12 inches of the bearer is destroyed, it auto blows up. Love that rule. Just boom. Again, probably not going to want to do this on your robots unless it's the last one, because they only do damage 1, but on any of your vehicles that someone gets into combat with and blows up, D3 mortal wounds out with nowhere is not bad.
Yep.
And you're going to want to run a lot of vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good as well.
Yeah, again, it's similar to the Iron Storm Spearhead, whatever it is. Space Marines, they had that as a stratagem, an auto blow up thing, but I think it's similar, and you're going to be running a lot of vehicles, and that can, I think I used that to finish off a hive turn. It can really just go, take away a monster that's just finished you off. So or vehicle, whatever. Yeah, it's very, very, very good.
It's probably the most situational of the enhancements so far, but you're
it's 12-inch range though, so it's still quite useful.
Yeah, you're relying on your own stuff dying, but you're gonna get killed. So
and it's once per turn, so you can do it more than once. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad. And then the Arc Negator, Tech Priest model only, ranged weapons with this one get anti-vehicle 4. Again, I think this is probably the Manipulus's Flamer that does devastating wounds. Having a devastating wound flamer against vehicles is okay. I think it's damage 2. Maybe the railgun as well,
that
which
is quite nasty actually. Yeah,
because the railgun's damage 3.
with devastating wounds.
Yeah, but it's fewer shots.
Yeah, yeah, it could be nasty.
It could be nasty. I don't think this one's as useful as the other ones, but
no, the first 2 are very good.
the first 2 are great. Yeah,
and then that's good, and then that's kind of
if you've got the points,
so
maybe
your
stick it on
4th
it.
pick probably.
Yeah, but kind of fun. So like that, yeah. As I said, the first part when I read this, attachment rule was a bit uninspiring, but good set of enhancements so far. Really, really fun. And then this is maybe my favorite thing, because I haven't seen this in any codex yet. All of the stratagems are in your command phase. So the whole idea of this is you sort of program your army in your command phase, and then they're set and they go off and do their job. So your enhancements, your tech priests have a bit more autonomy. They can do the reactive stuff that we just covered. Everything else in your army, you put the stratagems on them, and then that's it. I love the theme of that. I think it's so cool. Gives you a lot less flexibility, obviously, but we'll get into the stratagems. I think there's some decent ones in here. I just think it's really cool thematically.
Yeah, it's also quite nice in that you're not going to have your redundancy of ending up with a stratagem that you didn't end up needing to use. So you might go, oh, I might want to use this in my combat phase. You just go, well, you're probably going to be using all your stratagems every command phase. Or your CP. You go, right, I've got 1 CP, I'm using it. It's on that.
Unless you're saving it for rerolls or something, but generally, you're going to have your pool of. You're probably going to have 2 every turn because you can't spend anything in your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
So you're just going to do 2 of these every turn. So it's almost like just like the little datasmith programming his robots and going off and doing things.
That is quite cool.
I think it's really cool. I hadn't sort of noticed that at first, but I just think that's a really cool way of writing this rule. And I think some of these are pretty decent, so we'll get into them. First one is Motive Imperative. 1 AdMech vehicle from your army. So again, not just the Cybernetica units, also works on your vehicles. Until start of your next command phase, add 3 to the move characters of your models and add 1 to advance and charge.
So Dragoons.
Dragoons, really handy.
Robots as well, potentially, if you've got the combat bots.
Yep.
Make them zippy.
I don't know if they're vehicles, because this one's not one of the Cybernetica.
They must be vehicles. They're huge. Must be a vehicle. Yeah.
Oh, they are vehicles. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, they're the size of a dreadnought.
Yeah. So cool, works on them as well. So getting them up the field, getting your charges off more reliably. It's just useful. It's only 3 inches, but that can make a huge difference.
3 inches is a lot for a move, but and then +1 on your charge as well. That's potentially an extra 4-inch move, which is a lot. So what are we looking at? Looking at base for things. So they're base 6. So it's basically getting them up to a 10-inch move, which is a lot. And then your Dragoons are all going to be up to kind of like a 14-inch move.
Yeah, and it also works on your transports. If you were taking transports, I think you get like a 15-inch move on the Dune Rider with that. It's pretty cool. I think that one's quite fun. Again, you're going to have to plan ahead. You're going to have to go, this unit is going to have to make this charge or not, but like it just makes that so much more reliable. So pretty useful one already to start with. Next one, Auto Divinatory Targeting. 1 Legio Cybernetica or AdMech unit from your army and 1 objective marker. Until the start of your next command phase, ranged weapons equipped with this model have a ballistic skill of 3+ and ignores covers, but they can only target units within that selected objective marker. Really cool again. This is like that sort of the moment idea. You just select an objective marker, you get that 3. Changing the ballistic skill to 3 is really important here because if you get your doctrines, remember. So you can also make all your weapons heavy, so you're going to be hitting on 2s now with most of your vehicles or robots and things. And ignores cover.
Adeptus Mechanicus vehicle. The walkers definitely have that as well, do they?
Yep.
They're not just vehicle keyword.
Well, everything's just that, is it not?
It said Adeptus Mechanicus.
Mechanicus.
Is it Mechanicus? Yeah, it's Mechanicus. Okay, I don't understand why Legione Cybernetica has been put in there then.
It also works on the Datasmith. I think he's the only thing.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I see. You get
it's a bit weird. But
that makes sense. Yeah. That's why. Okay, see, the Datasmith
wouldn't
get the extra to his move
unless he's with the robots, which he would be.
Which he would be. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
Yeah. Don't know why that's written in there. But sure, okay.
But
ignores cover, that's fine.
Ignores cover and hitting on 2s with your heavy weapons, I think is really, really good because a lot of the stuff is ballistic skill 4. So you're like double.
Oh, you can never get +2 to your hit roll.
It changes their ballistic skill.
Oh,
it's not that's why it's so good.
Yeah, that is good.
So it's not a double +1. It's a ballistic skill 3, and you've got heavy weapon, so you get to hit on 2s.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Again, you have to be on the targeting your unit objective marker. But you're probably going to want to do that. So pretty good. Machine Spirit Resurgent, 1 Legio Cybernetica or Admech unit. I'm going to stop saying that. From your army that is below its starting strength. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. If it's below half strength, you can reroll the wound roll as well.
Yeah, solid.
Pretty good. Again, someone starts hitting your tanks or robots and things, you just get better until they're dead. Useful. Machine Superiority. Until the end of your turn, your unit is able to shoot in a turn which it fell back. And it can ignore any and all modifiers to its characteristics or tests rolled for that unit other than saving throws. Great. Also really useful.
Tests.
Yep, so if you had to take a battle shock test or a leadership test or anything like that.
Or a desperate breakout.
Desperate breakout test. Yep.
Don't know how many modifiers there are to desperate breakout tests, but
still
could potentially be good, yeah.
But yeah, being able to fall back and shoot, really useful. It can make sure your tanks and things don't get tagged. Great. Transcendent Cogitation. Until the start of your next command phase, the Conqueror and Protector Imperators are active for you. Great, so you can advance and have heavy weapons. Cool.
Yep.
And it also means you can be both defensive and aggressive with the AP reduction on your side and the AP addition on attacking the opponent's units. Really, really handy. Benevolence of the Omnissiah. Until the start of your next command phase, models in your unit have a Feel No Pain 6+ ability, which is improved to a 5+ against mortal wounds. This again is one which I feel like this was written before the mortal wound change happened.
Because yeah, not a lot of that affects anymore.
Yeah, 6 up Feel No Pain is still useful-ish, I guess, just to make him a bit tougher. Yeah, it's handy, but that 5 up is not going to come up all that often, I don't think. I really like this. I think I'm going to run this one fairly often just because I like Admech vehicles anyway. I'm going to want to get some more robots. And I think it's really thematic how it's written, and they all seem really useful to me.
Yeah. Is there anything in the Admech Codex that gives you free stratagems?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have a captain type character who does that sort of thing.
Okay. So you're beating 2 a turn.
Yeah.
If you've not used it on rerolls.
Yeah, so there's nothing that helps you farm, which is fine, but you're still, but again, I just really like this idea that you set yourself up at the start of your turn and that's it.
Yeah, off you go, robots.
And they're all got different flavors. Like some of them help you move better, some of them help you be more defensive, some of them help you be more attacking, some of them help you when you in later in game when you've taken damage to keep going. I think they've all got kind of a place.
Yep.
And yeah, it's the detachment rule. It doesn't seem that amazing, but you're going to want to run a lot of robots with this and getting your doctrines off on robots so that they can have assault weapons and heavy weapons potentially. Pretty good. So I really like this one. I wasn't, when I first glanced at it, wasn't necessarily sold, but I think the fact that it works on all your vehicles as well as your Cybernetica units is pretty fun.
Yep.
So that's it. That's the last of the detachments. We got lots of pretty pictures. I like them.
Yeah, somebody's armies.
Yep, which are very nice. I like the rust stalkers with the glowy weapons. Cool. And then we've got all the data sheets. We won't go too much in the data sheets. I'll just mention a couple of quick things. Mostly, they fixed the datasmith because he was broken, or broken in a bad way.
Yeah, gave your vehicles the infantry keywords.
Yes, so he made, the datasmith made your robots worse. He no longer does that, and you don't have to take a leadership test for him to do the ability anymore. Great, he's actually usable now.
So that last attachment becomes even better because the changes to him.
Almost everything stayed the same. The save changes that came in one of the balance data slates is still in effect, so all of your troops have your 4-5 up now, which is good, makes them a lot tougher. They've tweaked a few things for like some things used to give you stealth, now they give you ignore cover or things like that, little tweaks. For the most part, I think things are, it's mostly just little tweaks. The one that I did like, I just want to call it as well, was I do like, again, that they split the Dragoon into a shooting one and a combat one. I just wish that they worked in that other detachment better. Dune Crawler, this one's quite interesting. His one now is, while a friendly Adeptus Mechanicus battle line model is wholly within 6 inches of this model, that model gets a 4-up invul save against ranged attacks. I think that's a lot. His rule before was just that he got to move over terrain, I think. Whatever. This I think is actually quite interesting. Getting your battle line units now up to a 4-up invul is pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure that the Breachers, the Breachers and Destroyers are also, they're not. The Destroyers are not, but the Breachers are, they're not. No, I'm wrong. I thought they were. So it's just going to be it's just going to be the Rangers and the Vanguard. But getting them from a 5-up invul to a 4-up invul, pretty useful, and your Dream Caller's probably going to be standing back and shooting stuff anyway, so this again kind of makes your backfield objective stuff really tough.
Yeah, sounds good. If you have enjoyed this, let us know if you want us to cover the data cards as well, more in full, we'll do that. As we said at the start, we've got 3 other
Codex reviews?
Codex reviews out now. We've got the Space Marines, Tyranids, and Necrons, so check those out if they're of interest to you, and we will see you again soon. Timorous Beastie on the Brothers Grim Dark.